Welcome to the Grind to Greatness podcast, where we dive deep into the world of relentless determination, hard work, and unwavering dedication to help you unlock your full potential. We're your hosts, Jonathan and Joseph, and your mentors along this journey to greatness. Each week, we'll bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips where we've turned our dreams into reality through sheer grit and resilience. Whether you're looking to excel in your career, improve your health and well-being, or simply level up in life, this podcast is your go-to source for strategies, motivation, and the mindset needed to achieve personal excellence. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grind to Greatness. This episode is brought to you by Facts Over Fads Nutrition. Are you tired of being bombarded by nutrition fads that constantly let you down or leave you worse off than when you started? Our nutrition philosophy provides you with reliable coaching to make informed, healthy decisions in the direction of your goals. Our approach ensures a well-rounded understanding of nutrition, focusing on sustainable practices and long-term well-being. Our seasoned nutrition experts will guide you every step of the way. Whether you are a beginner or a health enthusiast, we are here to customize a program to your unique needs. Receive customized nutrition plans tailored to your lifestyle, preferences, and goals. There is no one-size-fits-all. Go to factsoverfads.com to learn more today. Jonathan, welcome to season 6. Season 4, episode 6.
Okay, I was like, wow, that was a big jump. I was like, you've been making podcasts without me?
I have, bro.
Yeah.
You're just not on my level, man. But hey,
I'm trying to be.
How are you doing?
Man, I'm ungratefully satisfied. Thank you for asking. It's about time.
I know. Last episode, you got a little mad.
I've been waiting for it. I was like, I'm hungry.
I'm gonna start giving you a bone every now and then.
Please.
So, yeah, man. So we got some Q&A coming on today.
Okay.
And I love the Q&As because I think it's common questions that allow the audience to get to know us a little bit better. Because it's like, what do we think about these situations, or what do we think about this mindset, or whatever the case may be. It's not just a topic, you know what I mean, that we discuss. So I like the Q&A episodes, and we do one on episode 6 of every season if you are new here. So any episode 6 that you see is going to be Q&A, and hopefully you get to learn a little bit more about us and our approach to everyday questions. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
We're talking about you loving Q&As real quick.
Yeah.
I want to do episodes where we just riff on quotes.
I love quotes, man.
Like if we just like say a quote and then us just fucking freestyle on that quote, I think that'd be fucking awesome. Anyways, hey, if that sounds like a great idea, put it in the comment section. Yes, let's do some quotes. Let's talk about it, how we use them. Do we not use them? Is that one a piece of shit? Because some quotes are. Yeah, I think some quotes are.
Just like I said last time, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You might hate a quote, but someone else might love it, man. And
it's probably setting them up for failure.
You know?
I'm just playing. All right, let's jump into these questions, man. I'll go first. I'll ask you first. All right.
Okay. Ask me first.
So, knowing Joseph, you're a Facebook junkie and you love to cause a lot of riffle and ruffle some feathers. Mm-hmm. And I'm always seeing people commenting on your stuff. And so a lot of them are your supporters. A lot of them are people who might disagree. And I'm just very curious, how did you build trust with so much people where they're commenting on your stuff all the time?
Yeah.
Right? You might see different, influencers where they might post something controversial or they might post a topic and there's no response. There's nobody in the comment section. It's kind of dry. But every single time you post, you get like tons of different comments.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, why do they like Joseph? What is going on with that? How did you make that happen?
So my Facebook is loaded, and this is Facebook specifically. Other platforms aren't this way for me. But my Facebook specifically is, one, coaches in the space with me who know of me for whatever reason, or clients. Very few people are outside of one of those descriptions. They either were a client, are a client, want to be a client, have reached out to me about client type stuff, or you're a coach, you've coached with me, you know who I am in the coaching space, we've worked together, so on and so forth. And the thing that I hold nearest and dearest to my heart is, for the last 10 years that I've been in this coaching space, I have tried my damnedest to always be honest, blunt, straightforward, preaching the basics, and preaching science. all we have to go off of is science. If in the health and the nutrition world, if you try to lead this journey off of emotion, you will always fail. You will always fall short. And so I always pull up science stuff, and science sometimes can trigger emotions. And I always try to hold my ground. And so what you will not ever see me do is change my stance because you argued with me on emotion. And then I say, you know what? I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Let me change the way I said that. That will never happen because the science is the science and the facts are the facts. And so I think that when people come to me, they know that I'm not going to lie to them. They know that I'm going to give them the best advice that I have because of my education and experience in the space. And I'm consistent.
I was going to say that.
Very consistent. I'm very consistent. People, it's wild, but if I don't make a Facebook post that's triggering, that's like getting 50, 100 comments, people will message me and be like, hey, you going to make a post today?
Yeah, is everything okay?
Like, are you good?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just busy, And my Facebook, if you don't follow me on Facebook, go follow me on Facebook. But my Facebook is actually the most genuine version of me because everything I post on Facebook is off the cuff. It's what I'm feeling right now. It's a thought that's in my head right now. I'm going to go let it out on the keyboard, which kind of, keyboard warriors. But for the coaches who follow me, I'm saying everything that they want to say. They're just too scared to say it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about client problems that they also have with their clients. They're just too scared to say it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about issues and things that, come to our table every single day. They just don't know how to handle it.
And how freeing does that make you feel that you're able to just be Joseph?
Yeah.
And not have to hold back.
Yeah.
I've felt with that. I've experienced that where I had to play a certain role to not irritate people, but deep down inside my DNA, like I wanted to tell people the truth, but I just felt they couldn't handle it, and I felt they wouldn't like me, and so they wouldn't follow me, and I would lose their trust, their faith. Oh yeah,
I've lost followers. So I can look right quick. I used to have, I don't know how many followers I have, but I can see how many friends I have. That bird is loud.
We might have to go throw it down.
So I used to have 5,000 friends, right? In the past couple of weeks, I've made some controversial posts. I'm down to 4916. So I've lost 85 friends.
Okay.
Right? So people are unfollowing me on these posts. And so, but if you do everything for whatever you call it, glitz, glam, followers, you will never be able to be your true self.
Yeah.
Because you will always worry about, are they going to like this? How do I reword it? It isn't what I really want to say, but I'm just going to say it like this because it might appease the masses more. You end up changing your character for other people, which is what I will never do. Sorry for the shout out, but shout out to Mason Murphy, who on that post we talked about in one of the other episodes about menopause, he wrote, hey, Joseph, after reading all these 250 comments, do you think you would have changed the way that you said what you said? And my first answer was no. It's not my problem that you are emotional about a scientific topic. The facts are the facts, the data is the data, the research is the research. If the research changes, by all means, I will be the first person to be like, hey, the research changed. We used to think this. I used to think this. Let's do this over here. Let's do something different because now research shows.
Yeah.
Right? But the fact that you just don't want to agree with the research, mostly because you don't have the discipline to do the things I'm asking you to do based on research, I'm not going to change the way that I say it. But he comes from a franchise in a corporate company where the mission was that we are for everyone.
Yeah.
And I told him, the moment you try to please everyone, you will please no one, and you will lose yourself along the way. It's a double negative. You will please no one, and you will lose yourself. And so I am 100% myself 24/7 through and through. You will not get another version of me. I can be empathetic with you. I can be sympathetic with you. I can be a drill sergeant with you. I can be an asshole with you. But you will always get honesty. You will always get direction. And you will always get not emotionally driven feedback from me.
So if you look at all the greatest people in the entire world, thought leaders, philosophers, people who achieved just the absolute most, no great person has pleased everyone.
Never.
Never in history. Never.
I think Tony Robbins is the closest person out there. He's probably the closest. That's like doesn't have an enemy. Like, but I'm sure he has one.
I'm sure he does. Actually, I've heard stories of Tony Robbins in different podcasts of he's not the guy that I thought he was when I met him in person.
Stop it.
Yeah. That this person actually worked for Tony Robbins throughout the years, and that he had the opportunity to meet him, and it didn't pan out like he thought it was going to be.
You know who I used to train a client whose daughter worked for The Rock. Okay. And she covered all of the Project Rock stuff, all the clothing line and stuff like that. And her feedback on The Rock was like the opposite. It was like, The Rock is everything you would think he is. He's the kindest, nicest, humbling, like he's just like an amazing person.
But you got to play different roles. You can't lean too far to one side because every situation is different, especially when you run business. All right, there's a time to be a friend, time to be a friend. There's a time to be a leader, it's time to be a leader. There's a dichotomy to everything. Mm-hmm. This person may need more leadership, more hands-on. This person may need, more autonomy, right? And so you have to be able to maneuver, which is why the answer is always in the middle.
Right.
I just had this conversation with my wife. We were talking about parenting, and I was going deep into a 3-hour podcast with Jordan Peterson about why the generation's weak, right? And they had this author, they had this behavioral scientist who also worked with parents who are struggling with kids and their behavior, and tons of research. And basically what happens, what we kind of boiled it down to, is we swung too far with gentle parenting. People might say it's social media, whatever the case may be, but ultimately we can't put a blame on a thing when it's our job as parents to be able to help our children be successful in an environment. And so gentle parenting, too far to the extreme where now we let the kids do everything they want because we don't want our kids to not like us. So we want to be liked more than we want to be parents. Yeah. And because of that, it's led to kids not being able to do things on their own. They're very dependent on us. 1 in 4 Gen Zs take their parents to their first job interview. And had a discussion with an employer yesterday, an HR who does the interview process, says that some Gen Zs have their parents call in for them. That's how far we went about being overprotective with gentle parents, just so I don't hurt Joseph's feelings. Yeah. Because I want you to like me. And as parents, me going deep into human behavior and human psychology and actually, fatherhood and what that actually means. And I told my wife very explicitly, there's going to be a point where my kids look up to me. There's going to be a point where they hate me. And there's going to be a point where they're so fucking grateful. Right? And it's usually in that adolescence age where they're going to hate me is because they're going to start learning how to separate, right? They're going to start trying to be their own person. But it's really hard to be your own person when you have no context of the real world. Yeah. So that's where dad is hated because we have all the context of the real world. We know exactly how this shit's going to fucking pan out. But I have to understand that this person has no context. So I can't get mad at my son. He has no context. It's like trying to teach him how to swim without throwing him in the water. So I can't get mad at him that he thinks a certain way. I can kind of counsel it, maneuver it. At the end of the day, as a father, I got to let him hit that. Right? Yeah. And so that's where they're going to hate me. But whenever they do hit it and they fall on their ass, I'm like, damn, Dad. And then they're going to, oh, man, I'm grateful. I'm going to start, maybe all the things he was saying was right. Yeah. I was such an idiot. Yeah. And so just swinging too far, right?
I talked about that on a seminar the other day. I went to Houston for a company and did a health seminar. And I said, we've swung the pendulum so far. This is from a health context, not a parenting context. But we've swung the pendulum so far with food that now the biggest crisis in the world is obesity, not starvation. So people who were starving used to be like our number one problem. And even to this day, we still have about 500 million people who are malnourished in a bad way, like under eating and underfed. Yeah. But we just passed the 1 billion person mark for obesity. Yeah. And obesity is BMI of 25 or 30, right? Yeah, I think it's 25 or 30, which is crazy. we've doubled.
So interesting facts. So we might just talk about pendulum swinging too far and how dangerous that can be, because at the end of the day, the doses, the poison's in the dosage.
Yeah, the dosage makes the poison.
Yeah, and so whenever we, swing too far and that dose is heavy, it's poisonous on both ends. So gentle parenting, very restrictive, disciplined parenting, none of them are good on both extremes, right? Yeah. It's finding that dichotomy of what works. So interesting fact. So mental health is at an all-time high, right? It's terrible right now for the new generation rising. And normally what happens is, now that everyone's aware of mental health, everyone, it's like a big thing now. Everyone is super aware and everyone has a fucking problem. Okay, everyone. And so normally when we make something that aware, things typically get better. Example, when breast cancer became a thing, when we made it more aware, we got more resources, we got more information, things actually got better. When mental health became hyper aware, things got worse. Why do you think that is?
It's definitely multifactorial. It's not I don't think it's as cut and dry as like breast cancer. Cancer research is cancer research, but mental health could be trauma. It could be environment. It could be neural pathways in the brain. Yeah. It could be chemical imbalances, right? It could be a lot of different things. I was actually talking to a girl literally last night. She's doing her master's in mental health and psychology. Yeah. And they're now learning that psychotropic drugs are kind of like the cure to mental health. So when we used to think that mushrooms and LSD and stuff is like frying our brain, they're now figuring out that smaller dosages of those things are actually curing anxiety, depression, PTSD, all these things. But right now we are on this downward spiral of mental health is just terrible. And it doesn't seem to be looking any better anytime soon. But
it's getting worse. The studies show it's getting worse, and more kids are seeing therapy and going to counseling, and it's getting worse. Huge. And it's getting worse that you're seeking help, and it's getting worse.
It sucks, but I always point the finger at the parents. I just always do. Yeah. Because parents, I think we're the last generation, so I would say 28 to 40-year-olds. The millennials kind of population. We were the last generation of or our parents were the last generation to just be go fucking make mistakes. Yeah. Go. Yeah. My parents used to tell me to leave the house and not come back until it was dark. Yeah. Right? There was no, can I stay inside and play video games all day? There was none of that. Yeah. Now, keeping up with the times, it's also technology is obviously a staple in our culture. Yeah. So when do you give a kid a cell phone? How long do you give them the cell phone? What can they use the cell phone for? Video games are now everywhere. We used to have Super Nintendo, and PS1. Yeah. That's what I had growing up. PS2 just came out. But you couldn't connect to the internet. You couldn't fucking get bullied online. None of that stuff was available. Yeah. And now it is. So now you have keyboard warriors. You have people who can talk shit behind a screen to other people. Mm-hmm. And we haven't taught our kids how to deal with that. Yeah. We haven't taught our kids how to cope with that. We haven't taught our kids hey, it's just some idiot on the other side of the world. Who cares?
Why haven't these parents done that?
I don't know. I'm not a parent. I don't know, man.
So the answer is clear, and they've studied this. Yes, it boils down to the parents and why are they doing this and not helping their children? And so the whole topic was quit having therapists and therapy and counselors parent your kids. They don't love them like you do, but you're so caught up in not disciplining your children because you feel like it's going to give them trauma that you bend to every knee. You don't want to take their phone because they're going to go crazy. Yeah. And because you don't have discipline instilled, you just give them the phone.
Right. Right.
Because they don't want to eat chicken nuggets and they'll go crazy, you're going to give them the chicken nuggets because you don't want to instill discipline. Right. So the lack of discipline is causing these kids to do whatever they want because I don't want to hurt your feelings because they're valid And you know what? Kids are going to be kids. What they're experiencing is normal. Example, we are over amplifying mental health when it's very fucking normal. When you hit adolescence, what teenager likes the way they look?
Nobody.
What teenager likes the way you work? Because you're depressed, that you're overweight, you have pimples, you have insecurities. That is fucking normal. What teenager loves the way they look? None. And there's nothing wrong with you. But instead, gentle parenting, oh, you're depressed, your anxiety, you have this. Let's go amplify your mindset. Your little bruise is now a big wound. Now you have to fucking talk to somebody.
Dude, I had everyone can confirm this. I had the most pimply face. You can still see scars on my face from the acne that I had when I was in high school. You know what my dad said? Cool, I had acne too when I was your age. Go wash your face.
Yeah.
All right? And my face was red. I had pimples. Shit was bleeding. Dude, I was ugly.
Yeah.
Now it's like, we got to go to 14 different dermatologists. We got to get you on 19 different medications. And I just learned this, but some of the medications you get on for acne are depressive.
Yeah.
They literally make you depressed. When I got on Accutane, the doctor was literally like, we have to do a mental health evaluation on you every month to make sure you're not suicidal, because of the acne medication will make you suicidal. And I was like, what the fuck? So if you're putting a kid on Accutane at 13, 14, 15, instead of just letting them live through their puberty years and then handling it later, because it's going to be there regardless, let them be uncomfortable for a little while. But now you're putting medications on top of problems that are magnifying mental health issues.
Every time you go see a therapist, every time you go see a counselor, what are they going to give you? They're going to give you a supplement to make you forget how screwed up your life is not.
But even...
They're going to oppress it.
Yeah. But then this is the only reason why I also don't agree with therapy, is because you show up every week or bi-weekly or once a month or however much you see your therapist, and you just talk about all the bad shit going on in your life. You just fucking...
When is that okay? When is that okay?
It just makes no sense.
What you focus on,
where energy goes.
I'm gonna say it first. Where focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're always consistently every single week focused on the bad shit, your energy is going to be bad. 9 times out of 10, it is just going to leak, and it's a constant reminder that you got to go see somebody because you think you're messed up, and you're actually fucking very normal. What you're going through is normal. Being confused as a teenager is normal.
It's wild to me that, again, we've swung the pendulum too far. We have tried to, and this is clear, like hard times create strong men, right? So hard times create strong men create soft times create weak men create hard times. We are in a weak men society, and men is just a word. We are in a weak person society, and it's creating a very, very hard time. And we are all struggling, fucking from financially, economically, religiously, family-wise, mental health-wise, like, because we are surrounded by weak people, because we swung the pendulum too far, which is a cycle. They say it's like an 80-year cycle or whatever.
It's too long. I got kids. This is too long.
I know.
So the solution is parents need to teach their kids skills. Okay, your kid's socially awkward, has anxiety. Don't take them to the fucking therapist. Teach the kid, put them in the awkward situation, and let's force them how to be good. And it's a skill. Being awkward, not being awkward is a skill. All right. My kid was stressing about his presentation. He was having anxiety. He was stressed out. He had a week to prepare. And I was like, okay, do you want to stop feeling the way you feel? He's like, yes. Then we're going to practice every single day. Every day. So I didn't say, hey, what you're feeling, it's okay. I'm going to email your teacher. You're not going to have to do that presentation. That's what happens. I'm going to, you know what? You don't have to go to school on Friday. Instead, I am going to teach him how to outwork his self-doubt. Hey, you're insecure about girls? Awesome. Let's go read about communication. How to find like connection. Right? How to speak to a girl. Let's go read about it. It's a skill. Everything is a skill. Are you overweight? You know what happens when I was overweight? In middle school, on my way to middle school, I was overweight. So that summer. And I was made fun of. I had roles, but I thought I was cool. But deep down, I was hurting because here I am being made fun of, and I'm the dude. I didn't like that. So what happens? I used that pain. My brother told me, go fucking run every day. Go do something about it. I came back that next year with a 6-pack. All that pain, all that stress, all that anxiety is normal, but it's a skill. Go put yourself in that situation.
over
There's
and over
no,
and over.
and the reason why I know this as a father, because the only way to be an entrepreneur is to stay in your uncomfortable zone. And then you stay in there long enough and you put reps in and you get better, you get confident, and you outwork your self-doubt.
Yep.
And that's the only thing I can teach my kids. Hey, what are you struggling with? What are you worried about? Oh, great. Well, let's go study it. Let's go learn it. Let's go get better at it. And so now whenever you hit an obstacle in life when daddy's not around, let's go study it. Let's go get better at it. Let's go practice it. And let's go become the fucking best.
Yep.
Awesome. Then we have to learn how to structure habits and discipline. And dude, I love this topic. I'm going deep in human behavior and human psychology about how to help swing the pendulum, not on extreme sides of hardcoreness, but hey, I am going to validate your feelings because I understand that shit does suck. Having pimples on your face is fucking terrible. Yeah. I remember that shit. I'm going to validate you and understand that, but also, you know what? Hey, let's try to be proactive about the situation and let's get through this.
Dude, I had acne up until 2 years ago. My back was covered. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Back and shoulders was covered in acne as a 30-year-old man. You know how hard it is to date people?
Yeah.
When you're 30.
I wouldn't want to be around you. That's disgusting. I'm just playing.
It's disgusting. Who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to my buddy who I work out with. My acne was so bad when I would lay down to do bench press, it would pop pimples on my back.
Oh, no, that's pretty intense.
Bro, it was terrible. Yeah. So I finally, I went to dermatology for a different issue, and the dermatologist just so happened to fucking ask me, hey, is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have really bad acne. And my primary care provider was giving me these creams and yada, 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 and it fucking wasn't working, and I was just like, whatever. And then, so she was like, well, take your shirt off. And she was like, we need to fix this fucking right now.
Yeah.
And gave me Accutane. And it fixed everything. Within 2 weeks, my acne had cleared up. Do you know what that did to my fucking ego?
Oh, I bet.
Oh my God, bro, I couldn't keep my shirt on.
Yeah.
It's wild, but I've lived with acne from when I was 12, 13 to when I was 30. Yeah. Like, that's insane. But it wasn't this like, feel sorry for me, I'm gonna hide inside, I can't, it's the thing. It's like babies crying or kids crying, here's my cell phone just so you can stop crying. Yeah. Or you had a bad day, go play video games. It's like, no, you still have to go function as a human. You still have to go do all of your things. I can't keep protecting you or shutting you into a corner, because you will never heal, you will never grow, you will never learn, because there's always going to be situations that fucking suck.
Always. What better time to teach them than in your household? And
I don't know her name. Her Instagram name is like Joe's Be Fit or something. I don't know her name. She's my client's daughter, and she's a coach. Okay. And she made a vulnerable post about her back breaking out, and she's like bulking right now, and her hormones are off, and she's a type 1 diabetic, and so on and so forth. And she made a vulnerable post, and I was like, hey, I fucking love this. She's like 26, 27, I think. And I go, I have a couple like acne tips, because I've struggled with acne like my whole life. Yeah. Like, I'm not coming at you like trying to pick on you. I'm telling you right now, like, as a 30-year-old man, I had your back is nothing compared to what my back was like, right? And I gave her like a list of 5 things to like try, do, diet, yada yada yada. And she was like, I didn't know most of this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I became a subject matter expert in acne. Yeah. Only because I was so insecure, but I didn't run from it. I didn't hide from it. I just fucking studied it. And then again, like, yeah, some stuff worked, but the final straw was Accutane. But then I got to worry about my fucking mental health and my fucking liver function. So there's always a sacrifice. But when you... Again, like when I was younger, let's go back to the girl topic. Yeah. But so for acne, my dad was like, cool, wash your face, go to school, I don't care. For the girl topic, the one thing that I can truly say like about my dad was I've watched my dad be the best male to every female I've ever seen him interact with. Mm-hmm. Ever. I've never seen him disrespect a female. I've never seen him not open a door for a female. Yeah. I've never seen him let a female pay. I've never seen him anything. And I might be an asshole, but when it comes to like females, like I will always treat them with like the utmost respect. Now I might not marry you, but I will like never let you open a door. I will never let you pay. I will never let you do those things. And And
I'm gonna give you the 5-star service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because, again, I think that even though our parents suck, they were sucky like on a tough, disciplined way, not on this weak ass go play video games and run in your room.
So we had to go figure it out, and that's the problem. We're not letting our kids figure it out before we go straight to a doctor, before we go straight to it, hiding them from the problem, right? And sports is a great way to put your kid in those environments where they're going to fail a lot, and then you have that opportunity to kind of coach them on that. But also you got to be careful, because I deal with sport athletes, and it's almost most athletes who hit failure, the parents are doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing, because now they're just drilling into their kid of, you are sorry, you are terrible, like you need to do better. It's just, they go too far to the extreme. Then you have parents who, I had a kid just get cut from a team that I'm not coaching, and I thought I was going to be coaching, but now they decided to go see a counselor. I was like, you don't go talk about your feelings to feel better. You learn how to get better to feel better. All right, the reason why people are depressed and anxiety and stress are almost all the same thing is because you feel like there is no hope. You feel like you cannot get better. That's what hopeless and despair is what causes depression. And the main lining of that is you really think that you cannot get better. So how do you correct that? You teach them how to get better. It's the only way to feel better about something, is to outwork your self-doubt. If you are going to study for a test, if you study 5 days in a row, you are going to be so confident on test day that you're going to ask for the test. Give me this test. Give me the test. Give me the test. Hey, anybody want to cheat off me? You're so confident. Versus if you don't study for the test, your anxiety, you're depressed, you're sweaty. Like, you are so sick in the head at that point that you're making yourself sicker. Right? And that's what's happening right now, is because we're not teaching them, oh no, this is how you do it. Right? What you're feeling is fucking normal. 100%.
Exposure.
Trauma is actually a great thing. Okay, and while growing up, because you're going to experience trauma as an adult. And if your parents did it right, they taught you how to overcome the trauma while they were there. Because when you leave the nest and you don't experience trauma, and they covered you and they put you in a bubble and they protected you, when you leave the nest and you hit trauma, you're all alone. And that's where things can get very scary, because now you feel like there's no hope. There's nobody to talk to, and that leads down the path of, why am I even here? And that's where you don't want to be.
And because my dad was so my parents got divorced when I was young. My mom died when I was young. My dad was single throughout most of my life that I can remember. And then my stepmom came into play. And while he was being a single dad and working all the time, he would make me ask other kids' parents for help. Hey, can you ask them for a ride? Hey, can you go hang out with them after school? Blah, blah. So as a kid, it's always the, hey, I want, little Tommy to spend the night or whatever. Go ask your dad. Right. I was always put into this position where
to do grown things
early on, walking to and from school every day. No one was fucking sitting in the carpool line waiting for me. I had to walk to school. I don't even know how far it was. I'm sure it was much further than I thought it was. I'm sure it wasn't as far as I thought it was. But it was do grown things, and I'd be like, Dad, it takes me an hour to walk home. I don't give a shit. What else do you have to do?
That's
okay.
That's part of the problem, because most 50% of marriages, more than 50% end in divorce, and they 9 times out of 10 go to the women, right? And that's a fucking problem if you're having a male, if you have a son, right? Because even women naturally have the DNA to protect and nurture. That is in you do not want to see your kid fail. You do not want to see them. That is your baby. It is in your DNA. So a father has to be pulling the child away from the mother at some point. And perfect story, just maybe a couple months ago. My son's almost 13, right? And it's my middle child. He walks to school, which is maybe not even a mile away, okay? And one day, it was raining. And school was over, and my wife was like, hey, can you pick up Brayden? It's raining. And I said, no, baby. I was like, he knew it was going to rain. He did not come prepared. It's only not even a mile away. Mm-hmm. And she was like, no, you need to go pick him up. That's messed up. Would you want to be walking around in the rain? Right? That is her job. Yeah, that is her duty.
For sure.
I did not listen to her because at this point, this is where dad comes in, teach the lesson. I text my son, hey, I can't come pick you up right now. You have to walk in this rain. Hey, go run. Get out of the rain as fast as you can. Yeah. But listen, you knew ahead of time. I told you in the morning time it was going to rain. You still chose not to have a hoodie or grab the umbrella. This is the lesson. And you know what? He came home wet, dripping wet. I promise you, he checks the fucking weather every single morning.
I bet so.
Right? Because guess what? Mommy can't be here to protect you all the time. You know, daddy may not be here forever. I'm a crazy dude. All right? I live on the edge. And so I have to be sure that I raise strong, resilient men that are going to go out in the world and take care of themselves. And that lesson, even though it did hurt me, because you start to doubt in your head, am I being a bad father? Am I going to the fucking extreme? Damn, I feel shitty. Yeah. But in my heart, I was like, no. My son has to learn this lesson. Yeah. And so just speaking about, you know, you can't go too far on either end.
Right.
And we have to take this big lesson as parents have to step up. And if you don't know how to teach these lessons, I have a program for high school students where this is where we do all the lessons. I make sure they know how to make a plan. I make sure they know how to set the habits and make them stick. I make sure they know how to fail. I make sure they actually seek failure. I actually make sure that we put them in an environment where we speak the language of resilience, of being emotionally tough, of how to get through hard times and leverage it to our advantage. Put them in that environment. So if you're struggling and need help, put them in that environment. So that way they can have these lessons. You can feel confident that your kid's going to go out into the world and be like, you know what, my son was taught these lessons. Yeah. I have some faith in him. Yeah. Or just learn from China. Yeah. Preschoolers are walking to their bus. And they even have a section where they let, I think kindergarten or first grade, they let them go to the stores and pay for their food and come back to the school. They have to learn. And they evolve. They're little human beings learning to become adults, and they're evolving. And yes, it's scary as parents, but what they're learning is invaluable. Yeah. They're learning lessons.
Yeah. You know, the best thing you can do is like learning from other people, either of what to do or what not to do. Yeah. And I think one of my biggest strengths is that I watch everybody. I literally watch everybody. When I was in the military, get to boot camp, again, I'm not a military person. I'm not this gung-ho guy. I wasn't raised around guns. I wasn't raised to be a military dude. Here I am in boot camp. I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know how to hold my gun. I don't know how to use my gun. I don't know any of this shit. So I got my gun and I just sat back and I watched everyone else do whatever we were supposed to be doing. Yeah. And then I learned. And then I was like, oh, I saw someone get yelled at for something. Oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I saw someone get praised for something. Oh, okay, I am going to do that, right? And so early on, and this is why I think sports are so important early on. It's because not only does it teach you like discipline and hard work, but it teaches you how to mess up and then how to fix it. Mm-hmm. You know, you make a mistake in a game, and I played baseball like my whole life, so it's a very individual sport. Yeah, all eyes are on you, right? In football, it's more of a team thing. In basketball, it's all right. But in baseball, like if you strike out, everyone's watching you. Yeah. If you miss a ground ball or a pop fly, everyone's watching you, right? It's an individual team sport. And so I am grateful that I was able to play baseball like my whole life, because it did give me that personal accountability to grow and develop and make mistakes, and also have to play the very next play and not make the same mistake, right? And so parents, if your kids are not in sports, I would get them in sports.
Now, don't count on it as if that's going to make them successful.
No.
Right? Because I think, oh yeah, my kid's going to be learning all these lessons, because it's really hard for the brain to translate lessons over to different arenas. So when your kid's done with sports, 98% of them aren't going to play at the next level. There's a big, and I'm trying to study it and I'm going deep, but there is a big downshift from high school to college, and they don't play sports no more because 98% aren't going to play, that they spiral out of control. Right. Because they've been programmed to work out only when coach tells you to work out. They've been programmed to go practice. They've been programmed, like their entire life has been programmed like a robot. And so when they leave your nest and they go out to college and they no longer do sports and nobody's telling them to do anything, you've handicapped them. And there's a big downfall in their mental shift and everything about them.
It's the same thing with just school in general. If you're the type of helicopter parent that's like, do your homework, and you're on your kid 24/7, and then they go to college and you're not on them 24/7, and they flunk out and they party and things like that. The greatest thing that my dad allowed me to do was to this is gonna sound bad, but drink at an early age and sneak out of the house.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds really silly. I'll never forget. I think I've told this story before on here, but we went to go sneak out. We were at a 2-story home. We went out the top floor window, walked on the roof, and then jumped off. And we get home, and the next day, my dad and my stepmom are like, "Hey, next time you sneak out, just go through the front door because you're fucking loud." You're like walking on the roof, right? But I was able to make those mistakes early, and I was able to build a relationship with alcohol early so that I didn't become addicted when I was in college or when I was in the military, and I became this drunken stupor of a person. I will never forget, and I don't think she watches this podcast, but my high school sweetheart was very sheltered in high school. Mm-hmm. Mom was very protective, helicopter parent, checking her cell phone. Who are you talking to? What are you talking about? Cameras, all this crap. She went to Texas Tech and she fucking ruined her life. Yeah. She flunked. She changed her degree 3 times. She, even to this day, she's lost. She has no idea what she's doing with her life. And so again, the pendulum swung too far. It was too strict. Mm-hmm. Mom was always on her. Is your homework done? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you on time? Yada, yada, yada. So when she got to college and had none of that, she didn't know what to do. Yeah. And you see it all the time. And again, you have to be in the middle, right? This is the whole purpose of this conversation.
Yeah. Be in the middle.
You have to be in the middle. You have to have the discipline to allow your kids to mess up. You have to have the discipline to allow them to learn their own lessons. And you have to have the discipline to say, it's hard on me as a parent to watch you mess up.
That was hard.
And watch you go through this.
Yeah.
But I understand that it's going to lead to a greater good tomorrow, right? Your son, checking the weather every day. Cool. That was a hard lesson yesterday for me to leave you in the rain. Yeah. But guess what? I can now see today that you're already better because of it. Yeah. You know? And then the same thing over here. I was like, yeah, you can check in on your kids' grades. Did you do your homework? Yada, yada, yada. But too much of it, you have to have this understanding of, hey, I asked you to do your homework every day after you get home from school. That's the first thing you do. Or maybe before bed. Whatever the case may be. I'm not going to ask you every day. That's what my dad would say. Yeah. But I said, I'm not going to ask you again. You know the standard. You know the routine. I'm not going to ask you again.
Parents don't have that. They don't have values in their house. Yeah. They don't have standards and routines because most people don't have that in general. Yeah. And so if you want to teach your kids to be successful at something, I got the best tip for you, right? Not only do you need to learn how to do it.
That's the truth.
Yeah, that's the truth. But here's what ultimately you want to lead to success. Then you need to teach your kids how to do 2 things. Because success will always require you to do the work you don't want to do and do it in your free time. 100%. That means doing the work that's not required on your free time. So it's extra work. The only way to teach them how to do that is put them in my program.
Elite Mind Athlete. Because
that's exactly what we do. We do the extra work. I don't care about what you do that's required. You're average. Right. I don't care how good you are on the field. If you do exactly what everyone else is doing, you're average. And if 9 times out of 10, you're not going to make it to the next level. It's just what it is. It's 0.0001%. And you programmed yourself to be average. My goal is for you to separate. It is for you to learn how to do the work nobody's doing. And when I can teach you how to set habits and do the work when nobody's doing and the work that you don't want to do, when you go off to college, when you go off to that arena, when you go off to that career, you have now been programmed how to separate and how to achieve. All right. Separation is all in the preparation. If I can prepare you how to wake up early and get more shit fucking done when you don't want to get it done, you are going to be a fucking monster in the real actual world. That's what I train these athletes to do.
Yeah. And when I was in boot camp, shout out to Drill Sergeant Bazil, the same drill sergeant who told me, hey, Guandolo, you better fucking run because there's a girl in front of you. Can't let a girl beat you.
Yeah.
And then I passed my PT test and my career kept going. Same guy said, if you only do PT, physical training, when the military tells you to, you'll never be successful. He goes, you will, because I asked him, I said, he goes, unfortunately, boot camp you will leave boot camp in worse shape than when you got into boot camp. Because if you're used to training every day for sports, 2-a-days, so on and so forth, and then you come to boot camp and you only do what we require you to do, you will be in worse shape when you leave than when you got here. And I was like, what? This is fucking the military boot camp. Like, what do you mean I'm going to leave in worse shape? Because you only work out for an hour a day. Yeah. We're going to go for a run today. We're going to do some push-ups and pull-ups today. Like, that's it. And so a group of us, every night before bed, we're fucking doing push-ups, abs, squats. Extra. And it paid off. And the people who didn't do that, and the people who are at their actual military unit, and because again, your military career is very consistent. Every morning you always wake up, you go to formation, and then you go work out.
It's routine.
It's every day. But if that's all you do, you'll never be successful. You can do PT every single day, but in the capacity that your unit allows you is not enough to help you pass a PT test, right? So many overweight soldiers, because most jobs in the military are pretty sedentary. Yeah. Like 95% of the jobs in the military, you sit behind a desk or you're working on some sort of piece of equipment, but you're sitting down, while you're working on it. Infantry is a little different, but again, even 95% of their job is cleaning weapons, studying how to breach a building, so on and so forth. The other 5% is actually going to do it. So if you're sedentary for 95% of your life in your job, 1 hour a day is not going to overpower that 95%. Yeah. So you have to do extra work. So many people in the military are getting kicked out because they can't pass a PT test, which is wild. It's so wild. Like, obesity is still a thing, even in the military. And it's crazy. And it's sad.
It's because it's not taught in school.
It's not taught anywhere.
It's not taught.
Yeah.
Fitness, anything that you need in the real world, it's not taught in school. And so we get mad, or we're shocked that people gain weight when they go to college. We're shocked that
the freshman 15
that they can't do anything. We're shocked. Well, we never taught them how to do anything. So there's standards in my household. You are going to read, you're going to work out, you're going to take care of responsibilities, you're going to practice your faith, and you're going to get ahead every single day. Is that strict? No, what I'm teaching them is how to be strong out in the world so they don't become obese, which is a fucking problem. How do you separate? You read, you research. That is, you study. That is part of this household. Yeah. My son, it's tiered. You can't ask me for my phone. You got to earn it. You come home, you do your homework. It's responsibility. You go work out. Then you study. What does studying mean? That means whatever is giving you the most pain point,
go deeper.
You're going to go learn it. I had my son, I was like, what's giving you problems? He's like, hey, my math. I was like, well, what's wrong with math? It's long division. He's like, can you help me? I was like, no, but you can go research about it.
Yeah.
Go research about it. Go TikTok it. Go research about it. Yeah. And what I'm teaching him now, he took him a whole hour to figure out one problem. Hey, day 4.
It's easy.
He's like, oh, Dad, this is crazy. I was like, yeah. If you execute like you need to execute, life will become easier for you. And so, hey, let's stick with math for a month. Let's get focused. And then next month, ask yourself, what's causing me the most pain right now? And it doesn't need to be school, but what's causing you the most pain right now? Yeah. It could be, hey, you might be liking girls right now because he's about to he just wore cologne for the first time.
Oh, snap.
And so that right there was a little flag. My wife, she was like, hey, fool, who you like? Like, where'd you get this cologne at? Because Dad doesn't wear cologne because he naturally smells good, right? And so, like, where the fuck you get this cologne from? So, yeah, he's getting to those ages where, like, you know what? There's pain points. And the only way to solve them is research. And it has to be programming your day. This is the standard, right? And it leads with the parents. My wife is not exempt from this. I'm not exempt from this. All my children are not exempt for this. At age 10 is where we start putting these into effect, because anything earlier than that, my wife, they need that nurture, they need that love, right? They need Dad to be the discipliner, right? Until they become of age and they start understanding, and then I can start teaching them things. But you got to have a standard. You got to set the tone as parents. You got to lead by example, because if you don't lead by example, where are they going to learn it from?
Right.
Social media.
And that's the thing, is parents aren't leading by example. Parents are so tired because their job is so hard, and it's so hard. Like, bitch, no one asked you to be a parent. You could have wrapped it up. Like, no one asked you to be a parent. When you decide to be a parent, you should be ready to lead by example. I think it's just the number one. Lead by example. And we always say, your kids are always watching you. Your kids are always watching you. Yeah, and they're watching you make excuses for yourself. They're watching you give up on your dreams. They're watching you sleep in when you should have woken up. They're watching you miss workouts. They're watching you eat like a shit. If you can't do those things as an individual parent, how do you expect your kids to do it?
There's going to be people that say, well, I don't do none of that, and my kid's successful. Those are outliers.
Outliers.
Those are outliers.
Good argument about
All right, those are outliers, okay? You got fucking lucky.
Yeah.
You did such a shitty job that they looked at you and said, I did not want to do that. But being that person who doesn't execute at that highest level for their children, all you're doing, they may make it out awesome, but they may not. All you're doing is increasing the odds of them being like you.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, we're not condemning them to a life of failure.
Right.
You're just increasing the odds of them being like you. If you treat your wife fucked up, they're most likely going to be treating their wife fucked up, right? If you eat like shit, most likely they're going to be eating like shit too, because it's ingrained in their DNA and their habits.
Yeah. And like I said, I had a really strong father figure when it came to females. And not only that, but now as we dive into people like Ed Milet and Tony Robbins and all these other really masculine, really successful men, the one common thing is they love their women.
Yeah.
And they fucking they will go through hell to make sure that they don't struggle, that the female doesn't struggle. And so I think I've been blessed to be able to say, you know what, like, I will always be able to treat women with respect to that age. Because there's some men who fucking treat women like shit.
Dude, that's the red pill thing. The red pill
Golly.
generation, these Gen Zs, early millennials, like, they are hyper, super successful men, but they just treat the women like fucking trash.
It's wild.
And they won't do anything for their wife because they'll feel like they're not being dominant.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I was like, that's just a fucking excuse because they're pussies.
Yeah.
They're not man enough to clean the house.
Yeah.
They're not man enough to serve their wife.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just an excuse to not do extra work. They're tired from a long day of work and they don't want to help out. Yeah, they're just fucking weak.
Yeah.
And saying they're strong.
I made dinner the other day, and this girl was like, can I help? I was like, no, just sit there and hang out. Like, I got this. Like, you hang out. Like, talk to me while I'm cooking. Like, if you're too good to treat other people good, like, you're fucking wrong.
Bring a red pill dude over here who thinks he's high valued, and I will make him feel fucking weak. And weak because you don't want to do extra work.
I know. Man, I made a post while you were talking.
Yeah, did you write something down?
It said, it's Friday. Make sure you blame your lack of progress on your metabolism, not the amount of alcohol you're about to consume this weekend.
Fuck yeah.
I just like to talk shit. But it's true, right? Like, people blame their metabolism when they don't want to, like, point the finger at the amount of alcohol or shitty diet they have over
It's their weekend. They fuck everything up, bro. The amount of calories they consume on the weekend is fucking insane.
Yeah. We got to wrap it up. This whole podcast started by talking about trust and becoming a subject matter expert, and we got off on a tangent
about the pendulum.
about the pendulum.
Swinging
too hard the wrong direction. And we've talked about it before, but I tell this to everyone. I'm in the middle. I will always be in the middle on everything. Politics, religion, discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will always be in the middle. But there's a couple things I won't do, and that's treat people like shit, lie to people for my own successes, or cater to your emotions.
Be free.
Those are things that I will never do.
Yeah. Well, let's end this. Parents, set standards, set values, lead by example, and that's all we can do.
I love it. Don't work to keep up, work to separate.
There you go.